Hi, this is Tekla. Welcome to week 5. All right, so we're going to start with one of our micro practices because I'm remembering this time. So let's start with just a moment to arrive. So this is something you can do when you're getting to a home visit, when you're starting a meeting or heading into reflective supervision, or really any time that you need just a moment to kind of be more present. And you can pretend like you're on your phone if you're in a meeting or about to start a meeting so no one interrupts you and nobody thinks you're doing something weird. But really, this practice can be done in as little as 20 seconds, which is what we're going to do right now. Or you could do it for 30 seconds or a minute before something starts without really anyone probably even noticing. So what I'd like you to do is not attend to emails, put your phones face down and away from you. And we're just going to take 20 seconds sitting calmly. And you don't need to breathe differently unless that feels good for you. You can either close your eyes, kind of half close them, or look outside. That's what I love to do. It's very regulating for me to look outside at the trees and the sky. So whatever helps you with your eyes to kind of focus inward, and we're going to take 20 seconds in quiet and then see how we feel afterwards. Here we go. All right, thank you. So that's a strategy you can use this week and see how it works for you. So looking at week 5, we're in week 5 explained right now. We're going to be looking at documentation this week. So previously we've looked at how do you prepare for a visit, what do you do in your first visit. This week's objectives and assignments are all going to be focused on documentation. Kind of what the basic documentation pieces are for firstborn, and they're very similar to what they'd be for any home visiting program. And then specifically, and looking more in a detailed way at how to do DAP notes or some kind of a note that focuses on some only description, then moving to assessment, and then moving to a plan for the next week. That's what DAP stands for, description, assessment, plan. So when you're writing your notes, you really want to start learning what is a factual statement, something you observed as if you were like a video camera in the home. So the family's steps had fallen off of their mobile home is a factual statement. An assessment might be concerns for safety with the child and the walker in the house, given that there aren't any steps leading out of the house. Although really we wouldn't even want steps with the walker. I'm just making something up. But those kinds of things, an assessment would be more an opinion or a thought or a concern, and then a plan for next week. So we'll really be focusing on that. There aren't any videos this week, but there's a lot of written information here that you can look at if you are not familiar with firstborn. Or your agency, there are a lot of the initial paperwork pieces here that we do. So they look a little different if you're in other kinds of programs, but basically you'd want some kind of a consent to release information. That's down here actually. You'd have a referral form into your program that would hopefully allow you also to refer back to that referral person with questions or follow-up. We have a participation agreement, rights of participants, consent to services is important. We'll probably go over that one in class a little bit. And then there's a registration form where you just get more information from families. And then in firstborn, we really use a focus checklist at different ages to determine what families want to talk about and keep ourselves on track. We'll probably spend some time in class also talking about structuring an effective home visit. It's a little bit like the fan, but Vicki, who created Firstborn, calls it a hamburger. And then there are kind of some do's and don'ts on this sheet that I think are helpful. If you're not really clear on how to do DAP notes, this page right here will actually show you a DAP note, but then it has a how-to on the second page, so you may want to read through that. And then this one really gives some what's it called, when it tells you what to do, like prompts, I guess, about how to write a DAP note. But we'll be working on that in class also. So your agency is likely to have more paperwork than just this. So start with these in class. I'll be going over why some of these are just basic important pieces, and then you can look in your agency for those and any other paperwork that you may use. So definitely, if you're newer, circle back because this is not going to be a complete overview of documentation for you at your agency. Again, there aren't any videos this week. There is a discussion board, and what the questions sort of are relate to what is important about documentation. So pick one of the things. So again, if you've been doing this work for a while, you already know the registration form, the consents, the patient rights and agreement, your visit notes, your DAP notes, however you're doing those. You know all of these things. So think about the documentation that you're using at your agency and pick one piece of documentation that you use as you enroll new families. How is it used? Why is it important? How will it help promote or avoid issues or challenges and other importance that that document has? So just kind of talk through what you know about that document. I guess if you have questions about it, put that in there too, but you may really be clear on why you use that or how it's helpful to you or to the agency. And then any potential challenges to completing this documentation. So this should be a great discussion, I would think, because there's a lot of challenges to finishing documentation, which can be family crisis, families really spending a lot of time talking about other things, and then it's hard to be like, hey, we have some paperwork to do. So we may also talk some in class about that, like how do you get the paperwork done. I'm going to make sure in these last couple weeks that we make some time for some of these challenges and strategies so that you can all learn and share from each other. So that's the discussion board. And then you've got your read, reflect, and apply is actually going to be a DAP note. So there's a little 40-second video here, which is for part 1. So just watch this video and then what did this observe? What did this community health worker do when she explained taking notes to her client? That may not be something we really do, but it's just interesting to see how people talk to individuals about what they're doing, like how a professional talks to the person that they're working with. And if you think about initial home visit as you do documentation, what else might you say to that person, or how do you put people at ease when you're trying to develop a relationship and fill out paperwork at the same time? It's not the easiest thing to do. Part 2 is an actual DAP note. So here's the DAP note. It's pretty short, or actually it's not the DAP note, sorry. This is the scenario, and you're going to create it into a DAP note. So copy this whole section here into what your document that you're creating your homework on. Cross out what you would not include in your visits. Underline what is objective and what would be included in your DAP note. Highlight or bold what is subjective. So we'll talk about these things, but objective is it's just factual. It's like if you had a video, it's actually just the narrative of the video. Subjective is more opinion-based and not just pure fact. And is there any part of this scenario that you would include but would rewrite it to make it more objective? And then finally, you will just talk about how documentation is for you. What about it's easy? What do you find challenging? Where do you think you need to improve? Answer those questions. Then when we meet for week 5, there is a quiz. Make sure you take that. When we meet in week 5, what we'll be doing is actually watching a short video and creating a DAP note as a class. So we'll be doing it together. That way, as you have questions, you can discuss with each other, ask questions, challenge somebody's idea of something, talk about how you might rewrite it. And then we'll also just be talking about documentation concerns, questions. So please come. Whoopsie, I'm gone into something else. I'm launching my Zoom meeting, which I don't want to do yet. So talk about any questions that you might have. Please come to class with some things written down that you might want to discuss, because there is a lot of interesting stuff going on and a lot of people in this class will be able to help and know.